early on in the Russian invasion of Ukraine, I remember hearing a citizen of Kyiv talk about the utter state of denial in which she had lived beforehand. Up until February 24th, Kyiv had been a vibrant European city with restaurants and discos, monuments and museums, bustling squares and parks. She tried to explain how her mind just refused to believe that what was going to happen. It was mentally impossible to accept that the crowded sidewalk cafes with their umbrellas turned like flowers toward the sun could so swiftly empty into twisted metal, cratered concrete, and the low wail of sirens. As I listened to her describe this disbelief, I wondered, how might she have lived differently if she had believed that war was on the way? What if she did anticipate that a moment would come when she'd have to pack what she could into a bag and head to the train station, or start up her car and pull away from everything she had known and loved, maybe for the last time? Would she have made sure to truly taste the coffee at her favorite cafe along the Maidan, to hug her friends tightly each time they parted, to savor the dank smell coming off the river or the glint of the monastery's gold domes on her morning walk to work? What does it take to wake us up to the beauty that calls to us from our own life? Maybe it takes one like Mary in today's gospel, someone aware while everyone else goes about life as if it will continue on indefinitely as is. Judas with the common purse running some back of the napkin numbers on his next anti-poverty campaign. James and John arguing about the seating chart in the great banquet of the hereafter. Martha fluttering in and out of the kitchen with her mind and her platters full of food. It takes Mary to bring this whole ballet of sleepwalkers to a halt as she lifts up a container of perfume worth a year's wages. A year's wages. Not just any perfume either. This is nard, that pungent, woody musk used to anoint the dead. She kneels before Jesus, pours a thick bead of the amber oil over his feet. The room stills and holds its breath. All eyes are on her now. Mary bends down. Her hair falls in a dark curtain sweeping from the nape, and she begins to sway her head side to side in gentle movements. Her curls slide over his feet, glistening with oil. Immediately, the tang of wet earth and honey fills the room. It's unmistakable, that aroma. A dark, crushed, floral announcement of death. What is she doing? Maybe she's expressing what psychologists call anticipatory grief, mourning the loss of the beloved before he is gone. Those of us who have been caregivers for someone with a terminal illness might know this feeling. Its dark feathers have certainly brushed my heart in recent years as I've watched my fierce, extroverted mother begin to falter in her decisions and draw inward and lean increasingly on a small group of friends and a personal canon of old movies to pass the time. On a national and global plane, there's plenty of anticipatory grief to go around these days too, as ice caps shrink and species dwindle and oceans ride over the shores of Florida and Louisiana, as our democracy falters and ceases to serve any but the wealthy few, as the ancient human will toward domination and violence resurges across a destabilized planet. How are we called to be? How can we let God work our grief away from despair and toward richness, toward love? Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus's feet and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. Such an important detail, that fragrance, penetrating and insistent. It puts me in mind of how trauma survivors use smells to stay grounded in the present when flashbacks threaten to overwhelm. Maybe, too, Mary is prodding all those around her into the here and now. Hers is a gesture in the great tradition of the prophets, really, revealing the truth that his time among them is short and it is not yet over, entering fully and deeply into what is with a gesture of unmistakable love and care. Although the future is dark, she seems to be saying to the household, because the future is dark, wake up to this transitory hour. Wake up and live more vividly, more gratefully, more extravagantly. Friends, that's a message to take in. The poor we will always have with us, and sociopathic dictators and wars and paranoid conspiracy theorists and racism and environmental destruction. And we are certainly called to resist these evils and help their victims as we can. But we will not always have the moment we are in right now to appreciate the simple joys of God's creation, to revel in the luck of having warm shelter and good food and safety and a house of worship and the presence of one another, no matter what is yet to be. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. I can't help but imagine that Jesus will trail that scent through his few remaining days, a piercing reminder everywhere he goes of the future that is coming and of the precious, fleeting present that is here. Amen.